For more on this deal, we're joined by Jon Friedman, Media Blitz columnist for MarketWatch.com and adjunct professor at Stony Brook University School of Journalism. Jon, good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So as we saw in Karina's report, Time Warner wanting a minor stake in Vice for the hefty price tag of $2 billion. Is this a good deal for Time Warner?
For Time Warner, yes. For Vice, I'm not so sure.
Why is it a good deal for Time Warner?
Because Time Warner, for a fairly cheap price, a few $1 billion here and there, obtains a cool, hip image, which it lacks right now. Time Warner desperately craves young eyeballs, 18 to 34 primarily, and Vice is in that age range.
But just by acquiring Vice, does it then give it the cachet and credibility and the cool factor? Or will it lose it?
Time Warner believes it can acquire it, but I'm afraid that Vice might lose it in the process, because if Vice is gobbled up by the huge Time Warner behemoth, it loses all its independent cachet and becomes part of Time Warner.
Now, $2 billion, that's a hefty price tag.
Yes.
How is Vice monetizing? Where is it getting its revenue from? How are you going to justify $2 billion to your Time Warner shareholders? Vice
is potential. As we talked about before, Vice right now is not probably worth $2 billion, but Time Warner believes it has to pay $2 billion for Vice, because if Time Warner doesn't pay $2 billion, Viacom might, or Disney might, or its main rivals might pay $2.5 billion, and Time Warner loses everything after that.
It does have a tremendous amount of daily eyeballs, but the question is the revenue model for all news media still predominantly advertising sales?
It is, yes. But Time Warner believes it can compensate for that possibility with Vice with its other businesses, with CNN, for example, and other businesses has right now, and maximize those businesses and acquire Vice in the process.
But Jon, here's my question. Global advertising budgets, they only have so much money in them. Now that amount of dollars or what have you has to now be diluted across so many different media platforms, the traditional ones like print, TV, magazine, radio, and now a plethora of websites. How is it possible that all of these media organizations can be sustained from the same advertising budget?
In a word, it's not possible. That's the point. But like I said before, the real point that Time Warner worries about is if Time Warner passes on buying Vice for $2 billion, what about Disney at $2.5 billion or Viacom at $2.6 billion? Right now, there's a fever out there to acquire companies and gain this image everyone wants to have.
But what is the long-term sustainability model for media companies if it's still, at the end of the day, dependent on advertising sales, and those advertising dollars are being stretched across so many different platforms?
Survival of the fittest. Not all companies are going to make it, obviously. You're absolutely correct. Not all companies will make it, but they think that Vice has the strength of numbers and the strength of eyeballs and young people to carry it through.
So what is behind Vice's success?
Vice has the image. Vice has the buzz.
How does it have the buzz? Why does it have that image? Why is it cool with the 18 to 34s?
I think Vice right now is where MTV was 30 years ago.
Okay.
It's fairly new. It has the kind of appeal among young people. They think it speaks for their generation. It's informal. It's kind of ramshackle compared to, say, CNN, but they like that. It looks authentic to young people.
And why is this a demographic that companies like Time Warner and others are so intent on getting?
Because Madison Avenue loves young eyeballs. They want to sell them beer and computer games and soft drinks and computers all the way around.
So it's all back to advertising dollars at the end of the day. Now,
yes.
Now this is a problem, as we say, overall for the media industry, because a recent study by Reuters showed that as far as paid for content in news media outlets, that is still very much a minority. According to the Reuters study, last year, 7% of people in the UK, 11% of people in the US actually paid for content. Is this trend ever going to change?
Probably not, because, again, we're talking about appealing to young people, and they want things to be immediate, convenient, and best of all, free.
So what are these big media conglomerates supposed to do? Carry on acquiring these new, fresh websites?
They always have. It's been the mantra ever since they've started the last 25, 30 years to get younger all the time.
Very quickly, what is the biggest challenge to conventional media right now?
The biggest challenge is what we talked about right now, convincing those 18 to 34-year-olds that you're hip and cool and you got a good buzz.
What about the rest of us? Why are we not interested in demographics above that age range?
Oh, they are, but this is the more fashionable one. They want younger people all the time. They want to keep you young. They appreciate older people, too. They sell them cars and insurance, but they want to sell them these disposable income items, too.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jon Friedman, Media Blitz columnist for MarketerWatch.com and adjunct professor at Stony Brook University School of Journalism.